folks, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. And tonight we got a great show for you. Better than ever and better than most, and not quite as bad as some. With my co-host Lucky Stone and our special guest tonight, Nina the Mystic and Grandpa Brian. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And tonight we're going to be talking about the tariffs that are going down and the shelves, the store shelves going empty and the people getting out of work. The country, is it coming to a halt or not? That is my question to all of you. What do you think? Sum it up in a couple of words. What's your opinion of all this is? Is it hula or what?
Well, it's from my point of view, it's things are slowing down. People are concerned. They're not as much worried as much as they're concerned what the future is, but it's still too early to tell. But people are pulling their bootstraps up and slowing down. So I have seen that.
Yeah. Grandpa Brian, you're in construction.
Yes, sir.
You know, you go to work, you're one of the hardest working guys out there doing that hard labor stuff the young kids don't even want to do. What do you see in that part? That's the ground level of the economy that keeps America going. What do you see in all of that?
Well, luckily, most of the materials that I have to deal with are American made. So that's not really affecting the part of my work that we do. Yeah, because we deal mainly in like asphalt shingles. I think maybe the only thing that might mess with us would be metal, which I do believe, you know, we probably produce most of our own steel anyways. Other than that, my job is really not affected by tariffs.
Well, and that's the thing, you know, we think, okay, it's not affected by tariffs, but it's like, okay, I make a product, but then, you know, my product gets added to a Chinese product of Asian. I screwed up my own law. Dang, you know, anyway, my product gets screwed up because it's built on an Asian product. Put it that way. There we go. Now I said it right. You know, like you're building a house. You're putting those American-made shingles on that good old American timber, but the nails are made over across across the ocean. Put it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, back in '95, I actually went to Japan and built American-style houses. So all the lumber was actually shipped from the U.S. over to Japan.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Tell us a little bit about that. How did Japan? You were building houses in Japan for... explain that.
So I was working for a company... me and the guy that was managing the business didn't see eye to eye anymore, had a discussion, and I ended up quitting. And that was on a Thursday. Sunday, I grabbed the paper, and it said overseas work, construction work. And I was like, I'll call and see what it is. And it was a company out of Lafayette, Indiana. And what they did was they built American-style houses. So they... had a company here and also a company in Japan. So they sold the lumber and everything over to this company in Japan. And we actually went and worked for that company that was in Japan. So that was a Sunday. I called Monday. Tuesday, I drove up to Chicago to the passport office. And then that Thursday, I was on a plane heading to Japan. It all happened that quick. And it was interesting.
They didn't know how to build houses there, or it was a certain special place, or big? Were you building buildings?
We were building American style houses. Their homes are built a lot different. Their traditional style homes are built a lot different than American style homes, and their homes are kind of not really structurally sound like an American style house was. So that, and Japanese, they just fell in love with all kinds of American stuff. If I would have known what I know now, I would have took one suitcase just with Levi blue jeans, because I could have got $150 to $200 a pair for the blue jeans. I had a guy offered me $200 for the pair of blue jeans I had on me.
Wow.
So, yeah. And I learned that things are more expensive over in Japan, and the reason why they probably charge so much tariff tax is because it's a small island that does not have a lot of natural resources. So everything that they have, they basically have to export in.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're talking about tonight. With that, did you believe that that tariff tax hurt them, or did it, make them better for it? How was the economy because of that tariff tax? Did everything more expensive?
Well, over in Japan, there's no income tax.
Oh,
There is a 25% sales tax on everything. So basically, the taxes you were paying was the money that you were spending. And believe you me, things were expensive over there. $3.50 for a liter of gasoline. Back in '95, a pack of Marlboros over there was like $7 or $8. I bought a bottle of Crown Royal to take over to someone's house that invited us over for dinner. That was $135. Yes, I know. So you see how even way back then, the tax rate, I mean, the houses that we were building were probably only on the average, maybe 1,500 to 2,500 square feet. And the average price of them homes over there was $475,000
oh,
for a 2,000 square foot house, which isn't that big.
no.
So even then, I seen how much they charge in tax for things that got shipped over to them, because again, they have no natural resources. So, they have, their main income is tax.
Wow. You guys have anything to say? I'm just stunned by all of that right now. Yeah, Nina, you don't live in the United States. And yeah, how does it affect you over there? I mean, how I know your house prices are through the roof already, kind of like that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
And that had nothing to do with the tariff now, because that's something new, I guess. But everything is just out of control, really. And I do believe the reason why the house prices in Vancouver skyrocketed so much is from large investors from the Asian countries come here, they buy up all our properties, and then they leave, and so this is what's kind of contributed to why our real estate market just went out of hand. And they've been trying to fix that, because a lot of them will buy properties and then just leave, and it just sits there, and nobody does anything with it. Neighbors get upset because the lawns aren't mowed and blah, blah, blah. And so they've been trying to, kind of curb that whole thing, to just come in here and buy up all our houses essentially, and then don't even live here, kind of thing. So that's kind of how that started. But I don't know. I haven't personally, I don't think because I'm not really a big shopper nowadays. I've done my shopping in the past, set myself up. I got what I need. I'm not planning on doing any more shopping now. So I haven't seen it personally, but, apparently did they not have this tariff thing before, where there was no income tax, but they had tariff, and that's how it was before, and it seemed to work? I don't know. Like, I haven't really looked into it that much, to be honest with you. Is it better or worse? Like you said, you might take away the income tax, but then all of a sudden we're going to have this huge tariff thing. Now, I guess that would affect people who are shopping. It's kind of like a toll on a bridge, because we've been going through that a lot, because all the bridges are now to that age where you got to fix them up. Well, they're putting a toll on it. So, I guess that toll only affects those people who are actually driving over the bridge. It doesn't really affect the rest of us now. So, you know what I mean? So it all depends on who you are and what you're doing, what you're consuming, and, if it's going to affect you or not. And yeah, it's, and to be honest with you, I've noticed as a shopper, when I was shopping a lot, the Gestapo at the border takes a certain percentage as well, on top of your shipping, on top of the tariff, top of everything. They want a percentage. And one time I had a bill for $120. They wanted for me to get that package over the border, and I got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I started refusing, just getting the stuff to go back, which of course, affects the company that I bought it from. And all of a sudden they're not getting the business. Well, the Gestapo is certainly not getting the money, and I'm not getting it out either. So I had switched the whole mindset of, buying Canadian. I'm buying in Canada. I'm not buying from outside of Canada because of the Gestapo at the border. So I have been very mindful of, when I go on a website, to make sure it's Canadian, that it's not coming from across the border because of that. So there's that as well. So, yeah.
Now, on the other side on the east side, lucky you go between Canada and the U.S. quite a bit, at least back in the day you did, right?
I used to. No, I haven't done it in years now.
So I said back, at least back in the day. Right,
Yes, back in the day. Yeah, but yeah, it was interesting.
It was. But did you notice price differences or anything back then?
No, that was before the major cold. The cold from 4 or 5 years ago. It was before then. Before things were a lot easier. I mean, crossing the border. I mean, even after September 11th, I used to go before it, September 11th, and before. Basically, you could just drive through the border on stuff before 2000. Crossing the border was just like you go to the border. So yeah, I got no weapons. I got no alcohol or cigarettes. All right, go on your way. And then after that, it was crossing the border. It was like you had dogs sniffing into your car and stuff. It was a whole new environment.
Really? Wow.
Oh yeah, but so I haven't gone in years. No, I did go in 2019. 2019, but I wasn't buying anything. So I mean, it was still the trip was tough because I had to compete with small shipping containers. Yeah, things go from. Yeah.
Did you have to have a passport for that?
You don't have to, but they recommend it because I had the universal ID, the all ID, but there's a name for it.
Is that the real ID?
The real ID?
Yeah, the real ID, exactly. I had the real ID. Yeah, I got basically when I got my license 10 years ago. At this point, they just started them, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to get it now, get it over with, and that made it easy to get my passport. Because to get my passport renewed was really easy because I had everything ready. Sit down my old passport and a copy of my license. And it was like, boom, done. I don't think they do that anymore. That was like a short time thing where if you had the real ID, you just, you have a copy of it and they, easy peasy. Now they have to make you go through again, birth certificate and your old passport. So I don't remember. I forget how to renew your passport now. But
starting on Wednesday, the 7th of May, your American president there said that you have to have the real ID in order to travel in America now, or in and out of America. So I
that wasn't the president. That was that was set up by Clinton. Clinton set that up. It just happened to take this long to come into effect.
Okay. It just happens to be on his
watch.
No.
It was President Obama. It was President Obama who put it to. It had to be within. I think it was 16 years, something. It was basically just they had it long.
15, yeah. Did they start it in 15 or something like that?
It was well back then.
05, something last 20 years though. 05.
It's been a long time because when I remember it was the first opportunity I got to do it. I did it right away because I thought it was going to be a pain in the butt, and it was.
Yeah, I mean, if you're traveling back and forth, you might as well have it. I mean, yeah, it's like because so hurry up if you guys are planning on traveling into the States. Make sure you have that real ID thing. I'd be kind of curious because I'm going to get my driver's license renewed. I'd be kind of curious to see what it's going to look like now. Is it going to be different? Or are we going to have some kind of real ID in there? Or how's that going to look? I guess I'll find out when I go and get that done.
Yeah,
But
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what Canada's doing, but yeah, it's they're cracking down. So you have it. You know, it basically is to say that you are who you say you are with because at one point it was kind of flimsy and people had IDs that were actually not based on anything.
well, I have a passport. I mean, that to me, back in the day, that seems to be the ID, isn't it? Like, I mean, it takes a long time to get one, and so I have that, but yeah.
Yeah, the passport should be covered by everything, but yeah.
I'm a little worried now. I don't trust them. I just don't. That's why I haven't traveled in quite a while. Since 20, like during 20, I was trying to go to Vegas, trying to go to nowhere. I want to travel all over the place. Now I don't trust them. I just don't know what's coming around the corner. They could lock down for some reason or something rather. You just don't know what's coming. So
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's see what I was going to say. So, what do you think of this? The tariffs. Do you think that's a good? After all of this discussion, you think that the president, will not name names. Everybody know who he is, because we don't want to get flagged by YouTube. Thank you, YouTube, for censoring everything. But anyway, we know him as a T-man, and is this? Do you kind of support what he's doing? Because he's waking up America saying, hey, they've been taking advantage of us for a long time. We need to build our stuff here. Kind of like what you were saying. And I'm going to buy Canadian. I'm buying Canadian. It's simpler. It's like we should be buying American. But we don't.
I think we all should. Like, it seems kind of ridiculous to me. Like, Alberta will be shipping oil over here, and then we're buying it back for more money. And it's like, what are we doing? If we got our own oil and whatever, like, just make our own stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Canada has all the resources. There's no need. Like, if we shut all the borders down and there was no more import export, we'll be fine over here. We just have to figure out how to reroute the business. Like, I don't understand why we've been doing that. I guess we've been shaking hands with so many different people all over the world trying to grease all their pockets and whatever. I don't know. So, but the whole no income tax, though, I mean, that would, I would think, appeal to Americans. He says he's going to take that away. So,
yeah.
I mean,
Well, none of this stuff happens overnight, does it?
Oh, you never know with him. Mr. T, he wants it done, and it gets done today. So,
Well, yeah. Grandpa Brian, you were going to say something? Sorry.
Yeah, you got to think this country was founded on tariffs. That's how the country generated money. It wasn't until the Civil War that income tax was introduced to help pay for the war. But as soon as the war was over, they did away with the income tax, and it was back to where they were just collecting tariff tax.
It was supposed to be. Yeah.
Right. And then it wasn't again until World War I that they instituted income tax again to help pay for World War I. And that was supposed to end after World War I, but we all know it didn't. They like to tax money too much. So we're just going to keep the income tax.
Well, they got comfortable with that money coming in. Nobody wants to say goodbye to that, So,
yeah. One thing that people haven't looked at is, let's just say 6 months from now, all hell breaks loose, World War III. You have war over in Asia, war over in the Middle East, war in Europe. It's going off. All right. Do you actually think a country that we're at war with is going to ship stuff to us? No, they're going to cut us off. So
yeah, I think that's already happening.
We need to become independent just in case that happens. You know,
Yes,
build
we
your
should.
infrastructure of what you need as a country. Don't rely. We're relying too much on other countries to supply us with things when we should be doing it on our own.
That's the problem. We outsourced everything to
Yes.
Asian countries for cheap, you know, so they have all these, they don't have the labor laws and everything over there. So they're able to have this, the cheap labor and everything else. Yeah, and that was a huge mistake that we did. We never should have done that. But on the flip side, who wants to work in a factory?
Yeah.
Right? Who wants to pick the blueberries and the strawberries? Nobody. We're still importing Mexicans over to do that work for us. That's the problem. Now we've become such an entitled society now. Nobody wants to do those jobs, you know? Nobody wants to work in some plastic factory making dollar store items. You know, would you? You know what I mean? So this is the conundrum that we've gotten ourselves into.
Well, and you're right. People feel entitled. They don't want to work hard. I do understand where they, ship in some workers. I get it, but still, there's, they got rid of so many jobs, the steel mills and everything shipped over to India. Here we got all these regulations that monitor these things and say, well, this guy can only do this job with the union, and this guy can only do this job. So you got to have more guys, more safety. And you got guys over in India who are wearing flip-flops, grinding and cutting. And yeah, one of them falls in the thing. Boop, oh, he's dead. Well, drag him out. Got another one. Yep, he's working.
Did you see how they were making the masks? That blew my mind. On the dirty floor, there's masks. I was like, yeah, this is what we're putting on our face. Yeah, I know. That's the thing. But we don't think about that too much, do we, when we're going to the doctor?
That's just one of the things. I mean, I've seen videos where they're making brake shoes in their basement or something. They're just grinding. They're all dirty from head to toe. They ain't wearing a mask or nothing. They got grinders out there. They're stripping metal and smelting it, right? I'm thinking, trying to tear apart all those computer things with there's no fume collection. Those guys are all going to get cancer and die. We know it. At least here in the United States, when
that's the thing. There's no labor law over there, right? And that's why they, those countries get away with this, is because there isn't. And they're basically operating the way we were, 100, 200 years ago, whatever it was, where we didn't know about all the fumes and the toxic this and toxic that. And, and then all of a sudden we got unions. Oh, well, now we're not supposed to work more than 8 hours and blah, blah, blah. So we've become this entitled society now that we don't want to do all these things, you see.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be hard to then have to go back to that. That's where we're going to have the issues, because nobody's going to want to do it. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's where I wonder if the American people, this will be your guys' opinion. My opinion is, I don't know if the American people can hold out. I see everybody in here, they're ready and willing. Chris Smith says he's ready and willing to hold out. And I'm sure there's other people who are prepped like yourselves will say, yeah, so I got to pay a few more bucks, and maybe you lose your job or something, or whatever it might be. You're ready and willing to hold out. It's like a war. But, are you, how long? And are there other people who are just going to go to the government, whine and complain and protest in the streets saying, get rid of those tariffs because, hey, I lost my job and I can't do this and I ain't doing this and I'm starving. I'm living in a tent. And basically, a lot of our country is already. They just don't want to tell us.
And yet they're still bringing in more people, though. Come on in. And yet half a population living in tents over here. Like Vancouver is just as bad as California.
Yeah.
Because all of them come down here. Obviously, it's a lot warmer here for them, right? So that this is where they're going to migrate to. And if you go in Vancouver, it's horrible. It's been like that for years. The only time they cleaned it up was when we had the Olympics. All of a sudden, all the streets got cleaned up right away. Moved them out of town. Actually, a lot of them came out where I'm at here now, and it's just gotten downhill. Like this place has just turned into a drug addict haven, So, yeah, and that's the thing. Yeah, we're taking in more immigrants, and where are they? At our food banks. The immigrant, like in my day, because I'm an immigrant myself, but you have to have a certain amount of money to come in here. you know, Canada didn't just take in whatever. You know, you would never see an immigrant at the food bank. The immigrant will be supplying stuff for the food. You know, now it's just upside down, where, you know, we're taking in people that, you know, can't even afford to feed themselves while they're here, you know, like, and taking away resources from the elderly and disabled people that we have here, you know. And so, yeah, it's getting bad, like, you know. And there's
Well,
more and more regular working people, not working maybe because you won't qualify, but like your regular seniors and people who would never think that they would ever end up at a food bank are there now.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
So,
I totally agree.
yeah. Yeah,
Well, and somebody mentioned in here about 20 bucks an hour, and I'm thinking, yeah, but you, in some of these states where the housing is so expensive or whatever, you have to make 20 bucks an hour just to put a roof over your head. Or you have to live with several other people just to maintain a life, pay for your
20
car.
bucks an hour, that was back in the day. That was a good wage. You could afford to, you know, to live on your own and have a decent life at 20 bucks an hour. Now, not so much. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So what do you all think is the solution for this? I mean, besides what the president is doing, is there a better solution?
Well, it hasn't even, I mean, just started. I mean, it's going to take some time. Is there a better solution? Honestly, the problem
Uh,
is that the tariffs were already there on the other country's side, and the United States is just imparting the same tariffs. These aren't new tariffs. These are basically just reciprocating from what the tariffs that are already there. That's the problem we don't understand. So what he's doing, he's not explaining it very well. That's for sure, because no one, well, actually, no one cares. I don't think that's the problem. It doesn't matter how he explains it. So I think the best thing is just be patient. I mean, honestly, I think it's a better thing because, I mean, I went around the stores.
Yeah.
The stores, from what I heard, the stores are not have much less traffic on the weekdays, and on the weekends it's like 70 to 80% of the what it used to be. So things have calmed down. But the liquor stores and the let's say the herbal medicinal liquor stores, I'm not sure which will get us in trouble, but the magic stuff, they're very busy. The strip club, the men, the adult, the gentleman's club, that was packed. But the grocery stores are less traffic. I went to the dollar store and asked him, and he said it's really not affecting us at all. We still have plenty of supplies, but we're getting more and more American stuff. So we'll always have, there's always something available. So I'm not seeing any. I was trying to find what effect for the people who would be affected by it, and everything's weird and backwards. I mean, the farm store. We have a farm store that actually is a farm stand that she like goes to farms and she buys food. Her only problem is sometimes she runs out of food, and the food that sometimes the blemished stuff that she used to throw away, she put it in a bargain bin on the front thing because rather than throwing away, because she had so much traffic that they're buying all her food before the end of the day. She's going to close up early, and she said it's not really bad, but it's really weird. But up months ago, because she did during the winter too, that there were some days where she does sell very little. Now she's selling out. It's like they're avoiding the grocery stores and going to the local places, which is
that's
good. I guess
that's good, yeah. Especially if the locals are able to sell it at a reasonable, affordable price. That's awesome. That's how we're going to get through this. And also I think we're going to start to go a little bit more back to reusing things instead of just throw away. And that's what the dollar store is all about. You use it once or twice and then it goes in the garbage. Well, why don't we go back to the way it was, where we had quality items that last your lifetime? Like my grandparents, they got their furniture when they got married, and they died with that furniture. There was no buying new furniture, what I mean? Like that, what I mean? Like, it's just, so this is where we've gotten to that kind of entitlement again. Everything has to be new. It has to be all the time. and we've gotten too lazy to reuse things, and you know what I mean. So going back to making your own, let's go back to preserving again. Let's go back to actually mending our clothes. When is the last time anybody put a patch on your pants? Or do you remember the socks that were mended and you had the little lump in there, growing up? I mean, that's how it was. But, nowadays, oh no, we get new socks, we get new pants, we don't mend, we don't do. So we've kind of, gotten so entitled to everything brand new all the time. And this is where we're going to have to try to change or change our attitudes towards how we're consuming, and you know what I mean. So making rags out of those old towels again, and stuff like that, like instead of just throwing things out.
You brought up a super good point, and all of us are I think can relate to that, because when we grew up, our parents were I can imagine all four of us here, our parents were not well to do, to the point where we're hoity-toities. But yeah, that's how it was. We canned vegetables, we mended clothes. My mom had a sewing machine, so did my grandma. They both knew how to do it. They canned, they reused everything. Grandpa Brian, we'll start out with you. What did your parents do, or grandparents, reusing stuff that you can remember? Just name off a few things, or did to make ends meet.
Well, I know my grandmother, she did a lot of canning. She sewed. Other than that, I mean, my dad was a mechanic. My mom managed a doctor's office. We hand-me-downs. My brother's got a lot of my hand-me-downs,
That's a good point. Yes.
That's another thing. Yeah. Nowadays, not so much. I see, like it's all brand new all the time.
Right. Kids nowadays have to have the newest things. I mean,
yeah, the Nike.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah.
The haircuts. Have you seen the haircuts nowadays? They're like $50 to $100 kids' haircuts, right? With their fade and their things. You know what we had in our day? We had a bowl, is what we had. Okay, you know what I mean? Just the difference, right? When you look back at pictures from us in the 70s, like, oh my God, I was just, yeah.
So, Lucky, you think they're off a little bit? Explain.
We've got a problem with our thrift stores in my area, because there are so many of the Generation Zs and then in the just going into college that they're invading the thrift stores. That thrift stores are actually raising their prices to become comparable to the to the department stores. Can you imagine something you could buy at Walmart is at the same price as the thrift store, because
I noticed that. Yeah, Value Village has gotten so expensive.
It's because it's so the kids. This is an old 30-40-year-old police band shirt. I've had kids stop me and ask to buy it off my back, and I'm like, no, it's they use the word, yeah.
Kids are getting back to the music, man, to the good music, not that shit.
And it's like they're looking for original, old. They don't care the condition's in. I mean, this thing's worn. That's about it. But
vintage, all of a sudden the price goes up.
Yeah, and it's like it's weird. So they're already starting to recycle to the point where some thrift stores are abusing the situation. I was at a thrift store, and I heard people arguing because it was an old record machine, a record player, and they're arguing with each other because they both wanted it, and the person who worked there says, we don't even know if it works or not. And we don't care. We'll fix it. It doesn't matter. And the two of them were arguing because they both wanted it. And the price was it was ridiculous. It was like $20. But again, it was cool, but it was about it. Things are weird. Honestly, things are really weird right now. I mean, the stores are stocked, but there's less traffic. But then the other stores, like the liquor store, is packed and other things. But the farm store, who used to throw stuff away is now can't because she's actually closing up early because she's selling. Everything's upside down and backwards. So I'm not sure what's happening, but again, it'll even out probably by middle of summer. I hope. I don't know.
I think it's going to take a little bit longer than that. But yeah, it seems like we're all kind of numbing ourselves out, just waiting because we can feel something is about to rupture here. And we're going to have to go through a little something. So, it's waiting for that Band-Aid, right? Ooh, I know it's going to hurt for a second, right? But we'll be all right. We'll adjust. We always do. We've gone through things before and we'll be just fine. You just got to be prepared mentally, more so than anything, really, that it's coming, so that you don't get so surprised, so.
Nina, what do you got to add to this? What do you remember recycling, making? How did people get by in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Europe, so, my grandparents were in the same place that my dad was born in, and I was born in there as well, and I see it's spinning. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Can anybody hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
You're good.
All
Yeah.
Right. So, when I lived with them, I mean, they didn't even have a washing machine. I was washing my jeans in the bathtub, scrubbing, and then we would have to go up 3 flights up to the attic to hang them up, or 3 flights down is where the root cellar was, so like I got to get a good taste of what it was like before my generation, and kind of.
I think you brought up something really good. So many people now. I remember when I was a kid, we all had a clothesline in the backyard. We hung up everything. There was no dryer.
No.
And in the winter, we had those clothes racks that you put up, and we put them in the basement or upstairs, and we dry all our clothes by the stove or whatever. There was no dryer.
That's
now,
right.
man, if you don't have a dryer,
it's funny because I was thinking about this a while back. I'm like, why is it that we don't boil our laundry anymore? And it dawned on me, the dryer takes care of all the bacteria is basically what it's doing. Because back in the day, we had to boil underwear and sheets, anything with bodily fluids on it. It had to be boiled, not just washed lightly. Like nowadays they do cold water and all. Oh my God. You know what that means? That means that you're not washing out any germs at all. The dryer is doing it all, just so you know. You know what I mean? So, so if we don't have electricity in the dryer, then we're going to have to go back to boiling our laundry as well. So just, so, yeah. Yeah.
Well, Steve Bo says, I like conveniences, but yes, conveniences are a good and bad evil. They're good because they help you. They're bad because they give you that convenience and you forget how to live. Power's out. How are we going to dry the clothes? I don't know.
These are things that I've thought of, because there's no reason why you can't shelter in place, depending on what's going on outside. But let's say you shelter in place, you just hunker down. Of course, you got enough food, but I also thought about sanitation. So I got a little plastic thing that's got the little scrub board on it and fits just perfectly in the kitchen sink. And all you would have to do is boil a little water and put that in to wash your clothes, you know what I mean? And then have the, the clothes rack so that you can hang up, which I have anyways, because I like to hang up some things. But, you can think of these things. What would it like if you had to stay here with no power? Go camping in your own house to find that out. Go a day or 2 or 3 with no power on and see what would I need? What can I go without? And just plan for it, just in case. We saw Europe. I don't know, are they still blacked out? I'm not sure, but that was a major, almost the whole country, you know what I mean? All at once, blacked out. And don't think that it's not going to come to a neighborhood near you at some point, so be prepared for that. So.
Okay, well, we're going to move on a little bit here as we keep the show rolling and interesting, because we got a full house tonight, 26, 27 people watching. Thank you all for joining us as the counting numbers start going down. But holy cow, they dropped. I must have said something wrong. Anyway, come back. Oh, there we go. Anyway, we're going to ask ChatGPT questions. I got the premium version. So What questions would you like to ask? Lucky, you sound like you got a question. What would we like to ask ChatGPT as I type it in? And we'll figure it out here.
You think I got a question? I
You?
I don't have anything. I mean, you didn't give much to prepare. I don't know.
Okay. Well, we can ask them about the economy, what they see with tariffs, anything that may pertain to what our subject is tonight. And let's see what ChatGPT says.
And you can just ask, how will the
You just
United
ask,
States
yeah.
respond? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
How will the United States do with the tariffs?
How will?
Or you can say,
Tariffs
were
affect
the
you.
tariffs? Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
frame it out here before I type it all in. What do you want?
What do you want, Lucky? You go first.
Were the tariffs imposed by President Trump a good idea? I know you're not supposed to say it, but
Yeah.
were the tariffs a good idea? Were the American tariffs a good idea? And we'll see how ChatGPT responds to that. Something simple as that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's give it a second. Oh, it's come up with an answer already. It's thinking. Sometimes it takes a little bit. Huh. It says that's. That's something. That's something.
That is something, isn't it? So maybe be a little bit more specific.
No, it takes it a while. It
Oh, okay.
sometimes I have to come back to it. I don't know why it's peculiarly. Oh, here we go. A thoughtful and complex question. And the answer depends on who you ask and what outcomes you most or value most. Let's break it down with a balanced view so you can present both sides in your show or discussion. Okay. It's going to think here for a little bit. Probably give us a balanced view. Oh, here we go. Arguments in favor of the tariffs and why some way it was a good idea. Protecting American industries. We talked about that. They're meant to shield U.S. manufacturing, steel, aluminum, and tech sensors from unfair foreign competition, especially from you-know-what Asian country. Some domestic producers saw short-term benefits like increased orders and hiring, reducing dependence on that Asian country, aimed at decouple from that Asian country, and promoting supply chain independence. We talked a lot about this stuff. Reshoring manufacturing, strategic for national security and resilience, especially in the wake of a pandemic-related disruptions. I think this one's really important right here. I think that's very important. Security, trade, and leverage. Tariffs are used in bargaining chips in renegotiating trade deals. They put pressure on other countries to make concessions on intellectual property and trade practices, like becoming the 51st state, eh? Arguments against the tariffs. Why critics oppose them? Higher costs for consumers. Yeah, we know that, and it's coming. Tariff functions like a tax, higher prices, goods and electronics, and all that other good stuff. Households are estimate $3,800 per year in purchase power. Oh, we lost due to 2018 to 2025 tariffs. I didn't even know we lost it. It hurts small businesses and retailers. Many businesses can't absorb higher input costs, and those pass on consumers, lay off workers. Sorry, Courtney, that's probably what happened to you over there. Retailers relying on affordable imports like Temu, Shein, small Amazon sellers face serious strain. Did you know Temu is not getting, you cannot buy products? I looked that up and it says here, yes, Temu has stopped orders directly from China for its U.S. customers. This change is due to the U.S. government ending Dominion tariffs, loopholes, and allow. So if you said it stopped selling imported goods from China directly to U.S. customers in the platform. So if you're ordering from Temu and it's shipped in directly imported from China, you're not getting it. Okay, let's see. Neutral insight. what actually happened. Some industries benefited. Of course, somebody's going to benefit. There's mixed success. Yep. Experts say they work better combined with targeted investment and innovation policies. Well, there you go. Maybe that's why the government announced they can control space and time. So there you go. Good question. Lucky, did that answer your good question?
Yes, answer my question very well.
Very well. Grandpa Brian, we're going to move on to you because I know Nina's got a really well one prepared. What would you like to ask the all-knowing ChatGPT?
What will be the final results of these tariffs?
Oh.
These. Oh, I always spell that freaking thing wrong. Do I? Oh, maybe I did it right. Okay, go. I don't know. I think there's going to be some.
Going to be great.
There you go. That's a great question, he says. That ChatGPT knows anything. Even Sunset Dreamer says, good question, too. Oh, Courtney says, type U.S. tariffs. Well, we'll see what he comes up with. Great question, Robert. And the one that many economists, business owners, and citizens are asking right now. While we can't predict the future with perfect accuracy, we can look at what's already unfolding and what the likely long-term effects of these tariffs may be if current trends continue. Yeah, what are these long-term? I don't think, people are like, they're doing the tariffs. I think he's got a good point there, and tomorrow they want to tack on, that tariff onto your bottle of water. But it doesn't happen overnight, does it? Here's your final results. Huh? It does?
Oh, yeah.
Huh. Well, maybe. Here's your answer. Likely final results for the tariffs if they remain in place. Higher import costs, which are passed on to shoppers. Everyday goods like clothing, electronics, tools, etc., already more expensive, especially with the end of the $800 duty-free threshold. I didn't even know there was such a thing. Learning something new tonight. Slower economic growth as consumers pay more but earn the same. Of course, we all do. That's kind of how it goes. Hey, this is your minimum wage and everything else goes up to the roof and you live in your car. Spending slows the economy. Analysts already predict the growth drop of 2.2% to 1.3% in the U.S. between 2026. Well, now, Lucky, you probably know this better, or maybe you can look it up while we're talking about this, but what does it take? How much of a growth drop do we have to have before we fall into a recession? As I go on here, maybe you can figure that one out. Strain on small business, we talked about that. Ones that are going to get it the worst are retail, automotive, and tech. Thinner profit margins. I think they're already getting a lot. Small online sellers I don't think Amazon's so small, but Etsy, Temu, Shein, they struggle or they will shut down. Can you imagine people without their Amazon products? Retaliation and trade wars. Of course, other countries already retaliating against that Asian country, targeting the U.S. Agriculture, never thought about agriculture. This could hurt the American farmers and manufacturers and strain global trade alliances. Okay. Supply chain reshuffling. Some U.S. companies are beginning to restore manufacturing or shift sourcing to countries like Vietnam, Mexico, and India, as long as we're friends with them, I guess. While this may reduce long-term reliance on that Asian country, and it takes years to rebuild domestic infrastructure. That's what I've been talking about. It takes years to build a factory. You just don't build a new manufacturing factory and then say, we're going to put out something new tomorrow.
Well, no, it's
Political.
going to take us. It's going to take us a couple of years in order to get all the factories and everything back up to the way it was. So we're going to have to go a couple of years without getting new shit.
That's
So we're going to have to
exact.
make do with what we have. Yeah, and that's what all the whole reuse and all that stuff comes in handy, right? And it's not going to be forever, but for a while until we get back up running again.
Yeah, and on that, the political fallout. Elections will, because of consumer dissatisfaction, politicians may either double down or go for protectionism for global trade. Yeah, because in 2026 there'll be the midterms or something. Bottom line: higher prices, slower growth, more economic uncertainty for working class Americans, shifts in how and where products are made, and greater independence are the good things or lasting harm. Either way, governments adapt from here forward. Grandpa Brian, did that answer your question?
Yes, it did.
Great. No, this Chat GPT guy, he is so smart. Lucky, what'd you come up with?
Well, for recession, it's 2 consecutive quarters, so 6 months of a loss of 2% or more. 2%. If you have a loss of 2% in gross domestic product loss,
Yeah,
for half a year, it's a recession. While the same thing is if 2 consecutive quarters of at least 10%, it's a depression.
wow. So here they're saying a growth drop from 2.2 to 1.3, anywhere in that. So that's right into that round. We could be in a recession, technically. Right. Okay. Interesting. Depending on how long it goes for.
Yep, that's it. It has to go for 6 months, 2
6
quarters.
All right. Well, we know that now. Great. But it's going to be over a year. Like Nina said, it's going to take years to rebuild stuff. So we can't expect things to happen overnight. Nina, you're up. You've had a lot of time to think about this. I'm sure you're going to have the best question ever. Try to stump Chat GPT. He's a smart guy, but I know you can do it.
Well, I want to go with something easy first. And,
Okay.
just because I'm a Canadian, I want to know, what is the American tariffs going to look like for the average Canadian? Like, how is that going to affect the average Canadian? Like, yeah.
Like for okay, there we go. And he's thinking.
I mean,
he didn't have just a great question. This was an excellent question. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We went from good to great to excellent. Oh my gosh.
You betcha.
it wants to give you compliments so you keep it around. You know, like, oh, this thing is so stupid. It's stupid. Oh, you're great. You're fantastic. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You're such a wonderful, smart person.
Yeah, of course.
Well, Susie Q, I think she thinks that, less of us, but I think she says a language model only has a total. We know that. We know that.
Yeah. It only knows what it's been programmed.
It has nothing to do with intelligence. It's just a database. Yes, I know.
Matter
But
of fact, we were asking off camera, we were asking some questions about some certain events, and it has completely the government side of everything. So it's not going to tell you anything conspiracy at all.
But did it say it was a great question, or did it say, what the heck's wrong with you? That's a terrible question.
Canada, you Canucks over here. Yeah, what does it say? Oh, you guys are screwed. See ya.
For the average Canadian, are you the average Canadian?
I'm an average, I guess. I don't know.
For the average Canadian, the new 2025 tariffs and related policy changes may not seem like a direct hit at first, but they absolutely carry ripple effects that affect prices, trade, and even job markets across the border. here's the breakdown on this. More expensive goods from the U.S.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, let's boycott the U.S.
That would have been pretty that's
I've already
pretty
done that.
obvious.
I've done
Yeah.
that for years now.
There's going to be on the more cost more due to retaliatory Canadian tariffs or rising U.S. production costs. Either way, Canadian importers,
Oh
retailers,
yeah,
they
aren't they
pass those.
having like a tariff war? So like, oh yeah, so if you're gonna, give us a, whatever percentage, then we're gonna put a percentage on you. Isn't that what they're doing?
Yes.
Canada, yeah,
Well,
Canada,
it was
US. So I guess
Canada
that
was
should even
Canada was
itself
already
out.
doing that. It was just it was reciprocation. That's what the America was doing. But then Canada raised it. The same thing as the other countries. They go,
It's like
well, if you
schoolyard
fine,
shit.
if you don't like our tariffs, you raise ours. Well,
Yeah.
fine, we'll raise yours.
Fine. Yeah. So there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
that's exactly what happened. It was exactly what happened.
What's happening here? Yeah, we got some schoolyard bullies having a pissing contest.
It says because the Canadians have all the good stuff, the raw materials, the aluminum, the lumber, and auto parts. They're Canada.
That's fine without you guys. I can tell you that right now. We don't need the U.S. for anything.
Yeah, we're going to be screwed over here because they said Canada may respond with counter tariffs and then and slowing certain industries, especially manufacturing and agriculture. Pressure on Canadian jobs. Canadians businesses that supply parts to U.S. companies could face reduced demand or be forced to cut jobs. Oh, well, you're going to all be unemployed there. This is especially true to automotive, forest, and raw materials. Wow, that kind of covers everything they were talking about right here. Aluminum, lumber, and auto parts. Is that all you make up there? Come on. Automotive, forest, and raw
main
materials.
things, but yeah, lumber, like we are one of the number one lumber, with all the trees here, right?
Yeah, because we cut them all down here. Online shopping. Oh, here's a bad one. Many Canadians shop for U.S. retailers online. Chances in the U.S. the Mises threshold and increases enforcement of custom duties could make cross-border e-commerce more expensive or slower. Well, that's not good for that. Currency. If tariffs drive U.S. inflation up, it could spill over into Canada, especially since Canada and the U.S. are each other's largest trading partners. I didn't know that.
It makes sense. We're neighbors. I mean, we're right next to each other.
Yeah, but we do a lot of business with those Asian countries over there,
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, we're actually neighbors. We're going to walk across each other's borders. I mean, yeah. I mean, so why wouldn't that would totally make sense that we're the number one.
We should be more friendly with Canada, that's for sure. This could lead. More Canada is going to get interest rate pressure in both countries, higher costs for mortgages, food, and fuel. Oh, well, if you're stocked up on fuel and food, you're good to go, Nina.
Yeah, we have everything here in Canada now, so we're pretty lucky. I picked a good country, I guess, to move to.
Yeah, Canada consumers, workers, businesses will feel the ripple effects through higher prices, job insecurity, and export-heavy sectors, and reduced trade confidence. Did that answer your question?
Sure.
Okay, good deal. Well, like I said, any last thoughts we should ask? I'm going to ask one here. This is my thought. Okay. What do you predict for the 2025 and 2026 year ahead in the
what?
In the U.S.
You're gonna have to say that out loud because I'm not sure what you're writing.
Okay. What do you predict for the 2025 and 2026 year ahead for the Canadian economy and the U.S. economy if there is...
If you were a human, which country would you want to be in next year, knowing what you know?
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding. I go crazy with the whole. Mind you, I would want to get one that doesn't. I don't know. It's not being programmed by the government. But good luck
Well, they
finding
all
that.
are. Yeah,
Yeah,
good luck.
where do
Yeah.
you find those
Okay,
ones that are
so
not?
here we go. What do you predict for the 2025 and 2026 year ahead in the Canadian economy and the U.S. economy? If there is a major conflict with Russia or that Middle East country or the Middle East.
Mm.
See, I'm getting really into this. There you go. Last question of the night. This is what I wonder what he'll say. I know Susie Q is thinking that's only what the program, but so what?
Yeah, well, that's the
Oh,
thing, you know.
I got it. Look, it says that's a powerful and pressing question.
Pressing.
It's powerful. I went great or the best to a powerful and pressing question. Woo. Oh, see, Bo says, but the point is Greenland is not ours. Yes, Greenland is not ours yet. Greenland will pay for itself. Yes, Canada will pay for itself too when we conquer it. There.
Yeah,
Talk to the haters.
yeah, some questions.
You'll be the 51st state. I think they'll divide you up into little states.
Well, according to what I've heard lately, Canada is not even what we think it is. So it's up for the grabs. Yeah, so
It's
if
up for
Trump
grabs.
knows it, then
Maybe he
just,
knows this.
Yeah.
Okay,
Word of honor.
let's read what he's got. Your ChatGPT says that's a powerful question and one that many economists, defense analysts, and everyday people are wrestling with right now. If a major global conflict broke out involving the U.S., Russia, or that Middle East country in 2025 or 2026, it would have serious and far-reaching consequences for both the U.S. and Canadian economies. Here's a realistic breakdown. Okay, scenario, major global conflict. Oh, this isn't good. Market instability. Investors would flee stock markets to plunge temporarily. Oil prices could spike $150+ a barrel, triggering gasoline and shipping cost surges. Ooh, that's bad. Existing inflation would worsen due to supply chain interruptions. We're already getting that. Rare earth minerals, metals, oils, semiconductors. Military spending spike. Didn't you just hear about how they wanted to have a $1 trillion spending bill put through the U.S. something or other the other day? The U.S. would dramatically increase defense spending to boost the military. However, it could widen the deficit and lead to cuts elsewhere, such as infrastructure and social programs. All you people getting welfare, you're all gone. No more building bridges. Done. Going for the military. And that's why the buildings and the roads are all crap, right?
Yeah, they're at that age now, right? Because we, this whole, place was kind of built around the same time. And yeah, so all our bridges and infrastructures, they're all starting to crack and crumble, and we need to fix it. And that's going to cost a lot of money.
That's right. Consumer confidence would drop. Well, that's pretty obvious. Interest rates may stay high or even increase. Control war-related inflation. Small businesses and working class families would be hit the hardest by cost of living increases. How could things go up even more? Can you imagine going to the grocery store and paying $20 for a gallon of milk? I mean, my God, how much money do you have to make an hour? Supply chain disruptions, imports from China, all that good stuff you like to have collapse and become extremely expensive. No computers for you. No TV. No new games for the children. U.S. companies may struggle.
Well, it's a good thing we got all those DVDs, eh, Robert?
That's right. We were just talking about that. How wasteful Americans spend all their money on Netflix, Hulu, and such. And at the end of the month, they have nothing to show for it except, I watched a movie or two. Okay, so let's get back onto this. commodity-driven valuation. The major exporters of gas, oil, and metals, Canada may see short-term boost for higher global prices. However, any prolonged conflict would harm export reliability, increase domestic inflation. That's not good. Cost of living increase or crisis. Gas, food, and imported goods would become significantly, not just more expensive, significantly. Canada would feel the squeeze at the grocery store and at the gas pump, especially in Providence, reliant on imports. Do you rely on imports, Nina?
I think we get it from Alberta, don't we? I know Alberta is like our Texas over there, like, you know, so, you know, it's right there. I mean, so that's why I don't understand why we're buying it from some other place, you know, being charged up the yin yang when our pump is right there. Like, what is going on? Like, that's why we need to go back to, like, let's bring this back here, you know, do the refining here or whatever it is that you need to have done rather than, you know, outsourcing it, you know, and giving them basically the power over us, control over us. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like that whole thing. Like, why did they do that?
Here's one good thing for Canada. Canadian defense contracts, we see a boom, but consumers facing selector with, so if they see a boom, they might hire more people. And of course, Bank of Canada may be forced to raise interest rates further. This could lead to higher mortgages, reduce consumer spending. Oh, no fooling. Global collapse of global shipping. Yes, that's, you know, sanctions would choke internal financing, international financing. Aren't we doing that already? Sanctions with Russia and sanctions with this guy and that guy, and then of course all these tariffs. It's amazing anybody wants to trade with anybody. And of course, last but not least, cyber warfare between could disrupt banking, utilities, and communications in Canada and the U.S. So there you go.
Well, I got to tell you a quick little caveat here. Canada Post, I was there yesterday. They're having an issue. There's no emails. They haven't emailed us anything about strike or anything like that. People aren't able to post out their parcels. They're not able to send money out with the MoneyGram. Somehow I was able to send out mine. I'm not sure why. But and I asked her, I said, is this kind of hacking or something? And she says, no, it's not a hacking thing. It's something going on internally at Canada Post. I don't know what the heck is going on with Canada Post right now, but yeah. So
interesting.
So you were just saying that. So I don't know. Things are happening here. There's big changes, I think, happening everywhere. Canada Post is going to be a thing of the past. All delivery is going to be done with drones in the future, and there's, you know, that whole system is going to crumble. There's a lot of things that are happening that are changing, and you can see it. You can, you know, I mean, so
yeah. Wheelbarrow full of money for a loaf of bread. Yeah, Weimar Republic back in Germany. Anyway, that was a good thing. Okay, we're going to have a real fast round robin so we can end this show and move on with our lives. And the fast round robin is each one of you start with Grandpa Brian. In this day and age, starting tomorrow, what could a person do to start saving some money immediately that could make things better for them?
One is growing your own food, because you're growing your own food, then you're not spending money to buy food. Get rid of credit cards, because I know I do believe Nina got rid of hers, and it is harder to really want to buy something when you actually got to pull that cash right out of your pocket and hand it over. So it makes you think twice about spending money.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
And
Lucky.
actually save up instead of, you know, instead of instant gratification, start going back to saving up for the things that we want. You know, that we have to go back to the old ways of thinking. Yeah, sorry.
Yep. It's a good way. That's perfect thought there. You know, get rid of the credit cards. grow some food, you'll save a little bit of money. Lucky, what's your thoughts on things you could do immediately right now to make your life better and start helping you save money? Same question.
Only buy what you need. A lot of us buy too much. We throw stuff away. Honestly, when I go to work, I'm usually eating the food my son and my wife don't eat during the weekend or something like that, or what they leave. I never buy lunch for work because I'm just grabbing it because for me, I lived on a farm, so you didn't throw a single thing away. Nothing, either if you didn't eat it, the dogs eat it, the pigs would eat it. No, well, even sometimes the cows are crazy. So stop throwing stuff away. Find, just only make what you can eat or you're going to eat for leftovers. For credit cards, I think I have 4 or 5 credit cards. None of them any balance, but they all give points. And I love playing the system. And, that if you don't use it, sometimes they cancel on you. But most of the time, they give a little incentives. Hey, if you use your credit card, you're gonna get these points, double points for the next 3 months. So I rotate my credit cards and I pay it off every month, and it really pisses them off, I think. But you play the system. Find a way to play the system. Don't keep it balanced on your credit card, and they'll keep coming back to you and asking you to use it and giving little incentives here and there. So. Mm-hmm. But you also have to be strong enough not to use your credit card having it. That's the thing. For me, it's my wife had a big problem with the credit cards. So she's on my credit card and I pay it, but I make a point where every time she does anything, I get a notification and I go, what did you buy? Grocery store, no problem. Gas, no problem. But the other stuff, I keep an eye on what she's up to. It's kind of selfish, but it's a game, Credit cards are a game. If you got to know how to play their game the best way possible.
Good one. Nina, up to you. How can we save money?
Just a little caveat to what he just said. Ladies, that's a good reason. Get your own credit card, okay? Don't go on your husband's credit card. You know what I mean? So, or use cash. This is what cash is all about. Nobody knows what you just bought, how much you bought, when you went there. It's done with cash. Okay. And that's exactly what we're fighting for here, is to keep our privacy and all of this, what's coming, you know what I mean? But one thing that kind of, I always thought was weird is this coffee craze, how people are always every day going out for coffees, and their coffees aren't just regular coffees. They're like, all this stuff, and it's just like, how much? Like $10-15 like for this coffee thing? Like if you all just stop doing that, just brew your own damn coffee, bring it to work, whatever. You can get nice fancy to-go cups or whatever. Just stopping that alone, you'll be surprised at how much money you save right there. But somebody mentioned in here, oh, that's just being broke. And the funny thing is that pretty soon everybody is going to be as broke as I am. So there you go. And you get to learn things how to, so growing up poor, you know how to stretch that ground beef, you know how to work things, you know what I mean? So it's probably going to be a lot easier for those of us who did grow up poor than it is going to be for, like, say, my brother and my nieces. And it's going to be a tough lesson, to have to go down to doing the things we talked about in this show. So yeah.
Good one. Yeah, quit the coffee, brew your own. They'll chop the price in half or more. Who needs that mocha?
People gotta learn how to make their own. They want to go to and get the decaf mocha half full macchiato,
it's just whatever. Just brew a damn cup of
coffee.
Learn how to make it yourself.
God's sakes.
That's what I do. I hate coffee, but I know how to make
hot chocolate in there. Then, if you want a mocha, there you go. There's a mocha. Okay, you know what I mean? Like extra cream. There's a latte for you.
Susie Q says she don't know anybody who makes that kind of coffee, but hey, somebody must, or Starbucks wouldn't be in business. There you go.
Yep.
Right.
Or invest in one of those cappuccino makers or something then, if it's that big of a deal. But at least, you're not going there spending, 15, 20 bucks a day on some fancy coffee, I don't know. I just, never mind lunch or whatever, but
That's right.
It was a good ride, I gotta say. Most of us, we lived a pretty good life, and so it's not gonna be fun having to, go without, but we can do it. We'll be fine.
That's
The kids,
right.
I noticed the kids are starting to get used to the whole tiny home thing, and just starting to use mason jars and just going back to the old ways, and so they're kind of getting there as it is. I've noticed. So
cross their fingers.
They'll be
Maybe.
fine.
But and my big one for tonight is, of all things, get rid of the Hulu, the Netflix, all of that stuff, the HBO, the Disney Channel. No good for you. Go buy some cheap DVDs, some garage sale that somebody's throwing out, and watch them over and over and over again. And once you get thousands of them, you won't need Netflix. You'll just say, what do I want to watch today? I got 10,000 movies of my own, and the cloud can't take them away, and I don't have to pay a fee, and they're yours forever. Just take care of them. You can have your own TV station right in your living room. Get rid of the cases. Put it in.
I'm gonna have to chime in. A little caveat to that. Okay, I also have a huge DVD collection. I'm not getting rid of mine. And then I inherited it from the kids too, because they were like, "Yeah, we don't need these anymore. We got them on the cloud and got on whatever." And as a prepper, you want to keep that stuff, because what if the internet goes down? Then all of those networks that you just mentioned will be gone, and so you're going to need the DVDs. But my caveat to this is, don't watch them now. You have those there. Like, I got DVDs from, when was Blockbuster leaving? Like 2000, early 2000s, right? So most of my movies are from that era. Well, I don't want to watch them now because I want to wait until I have to, when there is nothing else. Then I'm like, oh, then it's brand new. I won't even remember these things. You know what I mean? So you want to save it too. Like, I have Matrix, the last Matrix. I have not seen it yet. But I have it sitting there. I found it somewhere. I can't remember where I found it now. But waiting for the day when the internet's down, and I'm like, oh yeah, I got this thing that I haven't seen yet. So there you go. So there's that too. But
and that's, like I said, buy them when they're cheap. I just got bunches, 10 for $1, 25 cents a piece. You can't go wrong with that. Nobody wants.
No, I've been getting them off Bidding Battle, Marketplace. People are just getting rid of them. Yeah. So now I got the whole collection of the Toy Story, in the whatever, and I still got my, I even still have the other ones, VHS tapes, all the Disney things. I still have all that too. Yeah.
Well, Sunset Dreamer says, as long as you have power. I'm not talking about power. I'm talking about I'm talking about how you can save money right away tomorrow. Get rid of the Netflix. Just watch DVDs. And then
Robert doesn't watch that much TV and stuff. Okay, so he says that he doesn't realize that most of us spend like, most of the day watching that damn thing. So we will go through the DVDs real quick.
I've solved the problem.
Emergency only, okay? And don't get rid of your Netflix. I don't recommend it because, we need that stuff. But,
Yeah, but see, that would give you more time to do what Grandpa Brian said by going gardening and doing that stuff. And like Lucky said, only buying what you need, and therefore the whole problem solved. There you go.
That is so true. I know. I said, it's going to be hard for all of us, and these are things that are going to be hard for me.
Tough decisions. Go out there, try it, and see what happens, people. Let me know in the comments below if we are right or we're wrong or somewhere in between with that and everything. But thank everybody for being here. They're probably heading over to Max Vision Remote View class. He's over there doing some stuff with your mind. I was over there doing it the other day, and it was great. But then I fell asleep because it's late night for me, and I can't handle that. Anyway, okay, everyone. Remember to go out and do something nice, especially joining us tomorrow night. Me and Nina will be on her channel tomorrow night's show. And what do we got going on there, Nina?
Well, we're going to be talking about the little announcement that they had there the other day about that they can manipulate time and space. So we're going to look into that and the Trump-Tesla connection there. So, yeah, you don't want to miss that. Tomorrow's going to be a good show. You know, the question is, can Trump time travel?
That is a good question. That is a very good question. That, and don't forget to go over there and buy some merch and get yourself a shirt with my mug on it, or a tumbler mug like this, not with the Anacrona, but my mug on it, or you can get Anacrona stuff too. There's lots of stuff over there. Get the fist hand thing. I got a couple of those shirts too.
We do not consent. That's right. We do not consent.
Yeah, do not consent with the big
tariffs, for instance. We do not consent to the tariffs. Right?
That's
go
right.
show them by walking around with one of those shirts. There you go.
Yeah. Thank you all for being on tonight. It's been a great, fun show. Thank you, Grandpa Brian. Lucky Stone, thank you. Nina the Mystic, we'll see you tomorrow. And everybody else out there, it's been great. Do something nice for somebody else. Do something nice for yourself. Save some money. And especially, more than anything, be the frequency you want to receive, everybody. Love y'all. Peace, everybody.